Hello everyone, Charles Watts here. Welcome back to Inside Arsenal. It is Thursday. I hope the day is going well wherever you're watching or listening to this around the world. Thank you as always for joining me. It is a day that the international break properly kicks off, gets underway. We've got internationals to look forward to a little bit later on today. You could see some Arsenal players involved. Well, pretty sure we will see some Arsenal players involved. So we'll talk about that a little bit later on in the show. We're going to talk about Riccardo Calafiori, our first injury worry of the international break has arrived in the shape of the Italian. We'll talk about him, a little bit about Noni Madueke as well. Got some comments and questions for you guys just to flag up if you're an Inside Arsenal Patreon member. Then the Arsenal Press Bar show has been recorded a little bit later on this morning. Myself, Sam and Simon sitting down to round up all the Arsenal stuff, talk about answer all the questions that you guys have sent in. Got loads of those to go through today, so it should be a good show. Looking forward to that one. That'll be dropping a little bit later on today on Patreon. If you're not an Inside Arsenal Patreon member yet and you want to sign up and join and get extra content and support the channel, then you can do. The link is down below in the show notes. You can find it. Just go direct to Patreon and sign up there for some extra Inside Arsenal content. Right, let's kick things off today, shall we? And we'll talk about Riccardo Calafiori, a player who I suppose since he arrived at Arsenal, we've grown used to have in a few injury issues. So far this season, however, it's been very, very different. He's been a mainstay in the team. He's played in every single Premier League game this season. But he does now have a little bit of an injury issue that is going to mean he misses Italy's game tonight. I think it's Moldova they're due to be playing. Now, he had a bit of a hip issue after the Sunderland game at the weekend, and Arsenal contacted Italy about this and told them would have preferred that he would have been able to stay in London, but Italy, which is obviously well within their right on international duty, wanted Calafiori to go over to them so that they could assess him with their international team doctors. They have done that, and they've decided he is not fit to play tonight in their game. So he's been doing his own sort of training work while he's been over there, but he's not been training with the rest of the squad. So he is out of tonight's game, but he is not coming back to London because they believe there is a chance he could be fit to play the second game of the international break, which is against Norway. You know, could be a winner takes all game in terms of qualification from that group, although it's looking unlikely. Norway should have it wrapped up by then. But there is a hope within the Italian camp that Calafiori could be fit for that game. So they're going to keep him with the squad and they're going to continue to monitor him and see what his fitness is like and how the hip injury improves. Obviously, from our point of view, I think we'd all prefer him just to be sent back and forget about the Norway game. Just come back, rest, make sure you're ready for Tottenham because we've got a huge week coming up immediately after the international break with Spurs, Bayern Munich, Chelsea. Obviously, really, really busy time. You don't want to take any risks with any of your players, but unfortunately, when they are with their national teams, there's nothing Arsenal can do about it, which is a bit frustrating. But I mean, the hope is that it's nothing serious. The fact that they're keeping him there and they think there's a chance that he can play against Norway suggests that this is something very, very minor. The worry, I suppose, for Arsenal and for us as fans is that something minor turns into something more serious if he plays 90 minutes in a few days' time that he probably doesn't need to play. One area for Arsenal where they're not sure, obviously, is left back, though. Miles Lewis-Skelly, we've talked about a lot in recent shows. Pierre Nkapie is also away with Ecuador at the moment. But Calafiori has been so good, so solid this season. Both ends of the pitch has made such a difference to this team. That you don't want him to be injured. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see what reports come out of the Italian camp over the next couple of days or so. But he is not going to be involved in tonight's games. Let me know your thoughts on that. Or you, like me, just prefer he gets sent home so he can be wrapped up in cotton wool ahead of the Spurs game and that crucial week Arsenal have got. Let me know your thoughts on the issue in the comments below. I just wanted to touch on Noni Madueke. I'm not sure if you've seen this. Arsenal have got a new sort of club podcast out. I should have it up here so that I could actually tell you the actual proper name of it. The Dispatch, that's it. It's The Dispatch. And this is episode 3 has come out this week. It's good. It's good. It's well worth a follow. If you don't already follow it yet, there's interviews in there with players and stuff like that, some behind the scenes sort of stuff. It's a good watch, good listen. So Noni Madueke is part of that this week. And he was interviewed about, time at Arsenal and everything like that. And the start, there was some interesting stuff from him where he talks about his start to life at Arsenal and the move and the sort of fan reaction. He was asked about the fans at Arsenal and he said, it was a bit dicey at the start on social media and stuff before I came to the club. But when I've been in the stadium, I haven't felt that close to fans before, to be honest, in the stadium. He talked about how he's on his side. He can just hear everything, and the support he's getting at Arsenal is absolutely fantastic. It's quite interesting, I think. It's the first time he's really touched on what happened before the move. He was laughing when he said it. It's like, it was a bit dicey, to be honest. He was very honest. You could see. He was like, he knew full well, there was no way he could ignore it. He knew what was being said on social media. But then he's saying since he's got to Arsenal, the support he's actually received in the stadiums and everything like that has just been absolutely unbelievable. And he's really, really praised it. Said he's never felt support like it. I just think it's really, really impressive what Madueke done. It's such a shame, obviously, about their injury. I can't wait for him to come back, but it's really impressive. I was a doubter when that move happened. I wasn't sure about it. Well, in fact, I was like, why are Arsenal doing this? I didn't quite understand it from an Arsenal point of view. I couldn't quite get my head around it, and I said that at the time. Obviously, I wasn't someone who was signing a petition against a transfer or anything like that. I would never do something like that. But there was lots of people who were there. And he knew that. He was well aware of it. He admits it in this interview that he does. But it didn't stop him wanting to join. He was still desperate to join this football club. And I think that's really, really impressive. It shows the mindset I think that you want if you want to play for a club like Arsenal, character that you want, personality that you want. And then what he's done on the pitch since he came in as well, and how he silenced everyone and shut everyone up and got everyone on his side, again, I think deserves a huge amount of credit. And I can't wait for him to be back. I think it's going to be really, really great to see him, whether it's going to be on the right, whether it's going to be on the left. Just going to be such a huge boost for Arsenal to have him back. So yeah, really, really interesting. If you haven't seen it yet, The Dispatch, then go over to arsenal.com and you can find it and view it or listen to it however you want. It's a good little addition Arsenal have done to their content schedule. Okay, in terms of the internationals tonight, obviously you've got Moldova versus Italy listed there with Calafiori, but we know that is now not going to be happening. The game is obviously, but Calafiori is not going to be involved in that. So we've got Saliba and France to look forward to tonight. Big day for them. I think they can secure World Cup qualification if results go their way tonight. They are at home to Ukraine. Then you got the England boys in action. Obviously, no Miles Skelly in the squad this time, but you've got Rice, Saka, and Eza. England already qualified safely for that trip to the World Cup, obviously, but this is still two important games for Tuchel and the players as they gear up for those trips. So fingers crossed, everyone can stay fit. We had a really good showing from Max Dowman yesterday for England under-19s. If you haven't seen that yet, you can go and watch some compilations. The usual ones are doing the rounds on social media. Another starring performance from Max Dowman. England won 2-0. And he won a penalty, another one, very similar to the sort of penalties we've seen him win for Arsenal and England before this season, where he sort of drives into the box from deep, gets tripped, does hang a leg out a little bit, does a bit of a somersault as he goes over. He certainly knows how to win a penalty, Max Dowman, no doubt about that. I think he might, if he carries on doing that, certainly when he gets into the sort of high-profile nature of the Premier League, might begin to get a little bit of a reputation. That's just me saying that. He certainly does like to leave a leg out. I mean, he's so quick-footed, and it must be so hard for defenders as well. So there is contact there, but I think whenever I see some of these penalties, it does look to me like he initiates a fair bit of the contact. So he might have to watch out for that, because he might get a bit of a reputation. But his performance was great; he just tore them inside out at times. Really starring role from Max Dowman. So that was a good start to the international break from an Arsenal point of view. Fingers crossed these boys can continue it, can play well, avoid any injuries, which is going to be absolutely crucial, and get ready for the next games. Okay, just on the women, before we move on to some of your questions and comments, massively disappointing this was. What a huge disappointment in the Champions League. A second defeat in 3 for the Champions League phase now for Arsenal. A game they had absolutely in their hands. Brilliant first half away at Bayern Munich. 2-0 up. Cruising, could have been 3-4-5. They were dominant, they were winning, the press was good, they were turning the ball over, they were causing Bayern all sorts of problems, and then the game just completely slipped away from them in the second half. Bayern, look, to their credit, they massively improved in the second half, but it was poor from Arsenal, really, really poor. And once they'd sort of conceded the first goal, which was just a really sloppy counter-attack goal, which is a type of goal we've seen Arsenal concede quite a bit this season. It's a bit of a running theme, and they just were all over the place defensively, got caught on the counter-attack. Suddenly Bayern had something to sort of hold on to then at 2-1. They started to believe again. René Slegger's talked about that first goal and the belief it gave Bayern, and Arsenal just couldn't sort of halt that momentum that they suddenly got. Then it was 2-2, another goal on the counter. Lovely finish, really good finish from Harder, but another goal where Arsenal just caught really high up the pitch. Ball got turned over, they got caught sort of outnumbered, and suddenly it was 3-2. Then they conceded a poor goal. The third goal cross came in, it was a good finish. But again, Arsenal just sort of no one on the player. The marking was bad. It was just it's just one of those games you're watching it unfold and you're thinking to yourself, how do you stop this? You could see the momentum would just completely shift. And it's kind of just in keeping with the starts of the season that the women have had. After the high of last season, winning the Champions League, they've just not been able to build on that momentum or get any sort of momentum this season. They were unlucky at the weekend against Chelsea. Some of the decisions in that game were just ridiculously bad, and they could have easily walked away with a win. Probably should have walked away from a win from that game. But again, it was a draw. It was drop points. And now this defeat, leaves them with a bit of an uphill task now to qualify in the Champions League. Certainly not out of the question that they can do it. They can, but they're going to have to improve. They've got Real Madrid to come next, and they need to start picking up some points and quickly, because this was a really disappointing result. And Renée Slegger's admitted that after the game, that it was. But pressure growing on her, I would say, just so soon after winning the Champions League. Sounds mad to say it, but the start of the season has been very, very underwhelming from the women. Right, let's move on to some of your questions and comments now before we wrap this one up for today. Paul is talking about what I said yesterday in terms of the Everton game being moved from a Sunday to the Saturday, from Sunday 2 p.m. to Saturday 8 p.m, talking about how I think that game suddenly looks tougher now because of the kickoff time, because of the fact it's going to be under the lights, because it's on a Saturday and people are going to be out drinking all day. So the atmosphere is going to be much, much louder and more rowdy than it would have been at 2 p.m. on a Sunday, when people would have been hungover, tired, whatever. We've all been there. We know Sunday early afternoon kickoffs are very different atmosphere-wise to an evening game under the lights. Paul says, I think most players relish big atmospheres, so I think it being Sunday at 4:30 or Saturday evening is relevant for match difficulty. Look at the Bernabeu last season, or PSG away. We dominated the first 20 minutes in the biggest atmospheres. Yeah, I mean, I don't think the players are going to be scared by it by any means. I don't think it necessarily means Arsenal are going to not win that game. Of course, they can deal with all these atmospheres. They've gone, as you said, the Bernabeu was incredible last season. The PSG one, the way Arsenal started that game, despite that atmosphere and pressure, shows they can handle it fine. So I'm not scared about it from that point of view. I just think it's just a fact in my view that it does increase the difficulty level 1 or 2%. But you're right, Paul, absolutely right to point out that these players are more than experienced enough now to be able to cope with far louder atmospheres and more intense atmospheres than what they're going to get at Everton, even if it is on a Saturday 8 p.m. kickoff. Right, let's talk about Arsha's comment now. Says, thanks for the daily news, my absolute go-to for quick catch-up on all things Arsenal. Thank you very much. I'm glad you enjoy it. Question, why? Question, you keep saying 2-round semi-final of the League Cup will go away with the TV deal, but you never tell us when the TV deal expires. Does it expire anytime soon? I'm not saying it will go away. I'm saying I think it will go away. That's just a presumption on my part, because I just don't see, something has to change with the League Cup. I'm very aware of that. And I think a lot of people in the game are very aware of that now. And I just don't see a way that the two-legged semi-final survives once this TV deal expires. But again, that's not me saying it definitely will. That's just a presumption on my part, not based on any information. In terms of when the TV deal expires, we are 2 years now into a 5-year deal. So there's still, I think, the end of the 2028-29 season is when the latest EFL TV deal expires. And the EFL deal, which obviously involves Championship, League One, all that sort of stuff, it also involves the EFL Cup. So I think we've still got a fair while left yet of two-legged semi-finals. 2028-29 is when the TV deal expires. Charlie now has got in touch. Says, top comments from Saka. This was in response to what he was saying yesterday about not listening to the noise outside Arsenal and how it changes like the weather, people's opinions on them, whether they're good, whether they're bad, whether they're going to win the league, whether they're not, who's favourites, all that sort of stuff. Charlie says, top comments from Saka. For someone so young, he speaks with such confidence, conviction and maturity. He sounds to me like someone 100% focused and dedicated to the Arsenal cause. But there'll always be a little anxiety in the fan base until we see the photo of him, smile on face, pen in hand, Mikel and Berta either side on that subject. Any news on the current contract, Charles? I would love Charlie to sit here and say, yep, he's going to sign tomorrow. I would love to say that, but I can't, unfortunately. All I can tell you on it is what I've heard and continue to hear is that there is absolute confidence that this is something that will get done. Talks are being held, talks are ongoing, talks are good, they're advanced. and there is absolute confidence that it will get done and Bukayo Saka will sign his new contract. I don't see a way it doesn't happen. I don't see it. It's obviously a big contract. It's going to be potentially the biggest contract Arsenal have ever given to a player. You would imagine he's in that position now, Bukayo Saka, to be able to kind of demand that and warrant that and deserve that. He is the face of Arsenal. There's no denying it. He's still young, 24, brilliant player. He's done it, constantly does it. So this is going to be the biggest contract Arsenal have given out, I would imagine. So it takes a bit of time. But again, all I can say is that every conversation I've had with people in terms of Bukayo Saka's side, the club side, is that things are going well, progressing, everyone's happy in it, and there is a belief that something will get done. So, unfortunately, that's no update because that's already what was being said for the last couple of months. So I think we've just got to wait and be patient. Like you, I know what you mean, Charlie. I absolutely know what you mean. Until we see it, until we see that picture, until we get the news, the confirmation, it's always that little thing in the back of your head that we as fans have, that little anxiety. But I'm not worried. I'm really not worried. I think it will be done. Patrick has got in touch, says, Charles, I rarely disagree with your brilliant insights. Brilliant insights. Not sure everyone agrees with that. But I think player welfare does take precedence over fan convenience, even if those players are from Crystal Palace and the fans are from Arsenal. We must take a step back and realise there was no perfect solution for this situation, only uncomfortable compromise. Let's us continue to point the finger at the right people, the Premier League and its sponsors who drive this fake narrative of the public's unquenching thirst for football, when in reality, it is all servitude of their fat, padded wallets. Thanks for your continued great work. Yeah, no, I agree. And I tried to make that clear in what I was saying about it was, everyone was a little bit backed into the corner here. There was never going to be a solution that worked for absolutely everybody. And you're right. This could have easily been Saturday, 3 p.m. and that would have allowed fans to travel, get there, be able to get back. There would have still been bad for a lot of fans who have paid for their travel for the Sunday and their hotel for the Sunday and miss out. But they could at least then sort of guaranteed them to be able to get home on a Saturday night on the train if that's how they want to get home. And this moving it to 8 o'clock is just an absolute joke. And that is clearly Sky. They didn't need to put this on TV. It didn't have to be on TV. There's plenty of football on TV. Anyway, they could have just compromised, but they didn't. And they've made it to be played at 8 p.m. So, yeah, it was a tough situation for absolutely everyone involved in the talks and the discussions. And like you said, uncomfortable compromise was going to be reached. I just feel for the fans in this case because, well, I know them myself, that there's a lot of fans who are going to be left out of pocket from this decision. And when people talk about fans being at the front of all the conversations and the discussions, it's decisions like this that just make you think they're not. At the end of the day, it's all about money and greed, as you point out. So thanks for that, Patrick. Appreciate your comment. And that is it from me today. If you're watching on YouTube, but as I said, if you're Inside Arsenal Patreon member, we do have the Press Pass show coming a little bit later on today. So keep your eyes peeled for that. And if you want to sign up, become a Patreon member, get exclusive access to shows like that and my Arsenal story. The next episode of that is going to be recorded next week. Really looking forward to doing that. I've got a guest confirmed for it. So that'll be coming to Patreon members soon as well. Have a great day, everyone. Speak to you soon. Bye-bye.